Let me get you order medical. Stay on the line.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Allison Contreras, her husband Frank, and their children had just returned from a trip. Their niece, Cassie Jo Stoddart, was supposed to be house-sitting for them. And now she was dead. More than that, murdered. The reality of it was hard to grasp. But the events that preceded it were even more surreal. It was a scene straight from a horror movie. Cassie Jo Stoddart was alone in the Contreras house. Suddenly, the lights went out. Somewhere down below, a door slammed. The noise was coming from the basement. The brave 16-year-old gathered all her courage. "Who's that? I'll kick your ass!" she screamed, before two dark figures in white Halloween masks lunged at her. Cassie was a shy, modest girl, and a diligent student. Who could possibly want her dead? The last three persons to have seen Cassie alive were Cassie's boyfriend, Matt Beckham, and their two friends, Brian and Torey. Brian Draper was your regular kid. His family just moved from Utah to Pocatello, Idaho. He enjoyed fishing with his family, played drums, and loved horror movies, especially slashers. He stuttered, which made him an easy target for bullying. The speech impairment and the new school made him feel like an outsider, a nobody. Brian grew fascinated with the Columbine High School massacre. He craved what the Columbine shooters had, the spotlight. Brian was a social, likable kid, and quickly found new friends in Pocatello. One of them was his classmate Torey Adamcik, a cocky kid with an edgy attitude who shared Brian's passion for horror movies. When they just met, Torey started talking about the movie Scream, and how it would be cool to make it a reality. Just like the Columbine massacre, the murders in the movie were committed by two teenagers, which must have resonated with Brian. The two quickly bonded and started hanging out, fantasizing about making a movie together. After all, Brian had a video camera. They even started writing a movie script. Sounds like fun, right? But was it all that innocent?
There should be no law against killing people. I know it's a wrong thing, but hell, you restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it more.
On September 22, 2006, their friend Cassie and her boyfriend Matt invited Brian and Torey over for a movie. The Contreras, Cassie's aunt and uncle, tasked her with watching over their house and dogs while they were away for the weekend. When Torey and Brian arrived, the couple gave them a tour of the house, and they sat down to watch Kill Bill Volume 2. However, Torey and Brian got bored fast and left, saying they wanted to catch a movie at a local cinema. And that's when it got weird. Matt and Cassie heard a loud noise. It was coming from the basement. It was as if a large glass object shattered. The noise repeated. Suddenly, the power went out. The power went back on. The Contreras' dog was growling at the basement door. Matt called his mother and asked if he could stay the night with Cassie. Miss Beckham declined, but offered Matt to take Cassie for a sleepover instead. The girl shook her head. She agreed to watch the house and wasn't going to break her promise. At about 10:30 p.m., Matt's mother came to pick him up. When they left, the power went out again. 2 days later, Cassie's body was discovered by 13-year-old Kelsey Contreras. The victim suffered a total of 30 stab wounds. 12 of them were potentially fatal. The police summoned Matt Beckham for interrogation. The grief-stricken youth told the investigators that they weren't alone that night. Brian Draper and Torey Adamcik were questioned right after him. The two teenagers explained how after leaving the Contreras' place, they went to the movies and apparently had no idea what happened to their friend. Could the two friends indeed be the culprits? The police decided to verify the stories. The person who was selling tickets on the night of the murder was a girl who went to school with Brian and Torey. She was sure neither Brian nor Torey bought any tickets that night. Their alibi was a lie. On September 27th, the police summoned Brian once again. He told the investigators that he and Torey went to see the movie Pulse, but struggled to give details about the film's plot or characters. Realizing the lie wasn't working, Brian started feeding the investigators the story of him and Torey going through cars. that is, opening the cars that weren't locked and fishing for money or other valuables. However, Brian could not describe the cars. He didn't have any stolen items to show, claiming that all they found was some change. The interrogators barraged Brian with provocative questions.
How she died?
She says that she was stabbed.
How do you know that?
Because first of all, Matt told me.
The police saw through the flimsy facade right away and started pressing Brian to confess. They started with relatively light things, like making the teen admit he and Torey came back to the house. Finally, one of the investigators told Brian he was sure the teen saw his friend Cassie Jo die.
You're there. I can see it. I can see it in your eyes. I know by the evidence that we have that you're there. Okay?
I was there before.
I know that you guys come back. I know that you come back. Either it's you or it's Torey.
After a little while, Brian finally gives up. He tells the police how he and Torey left the Contreras house, parked down the road and donned black clothes and white masks with blood streaks painted on them. They entered the house through the garage door that Brian secretly unlocked beforehand. Through the garage, they got to the basement and proceeded to smash 2 ashtrays. The plan was to lure Matt downstairs so they'd kill him first. It didn't work, so the teens resorted to another trick. They found the electrical panel and started playing with the lights. Once Matt left, they scared the lonely girl by turning the lights off. Brian slammed the closet door halfway up the stairs. Tired of their sick game, the two proceeded upstairs and killed their classmate. Brian tried to tone down his involvement in the murder, swearing he thought they were only going to scare the girl. In his words, it was Torey who killed Cassie Stoddart. In an attempt to earn more points for himself, Brian led the police to Black Rock Canyon, where he and Torey buried the evidence. However, he didn't take into account one thing that would seal his doom. Among the knives and the burned remains of their masks, boots, and gloves was another crucial piece of evidence: a videotape.
We found our victim, and sad as it may be, she's our friend. But you know what? We all have to make sacrifices. Our first victim is going to be Cassie Stoddart. She's going to be alone in a big, dark house out in the middle of nowhere. How perfect can you get? I mean, like, dude.
I'm just thinking about it.
Hell yeah.
For the most part, the tape contained footage of Torey and Brian plotting the crime. The teen mocked the FBI and serial killers like Ted Bundy and the Zodiac Killer, calling them amateurs. Indeed, the two were planning to kill more people, just like in the movies. They were going to get the thing they craved the most: fame. The last video snippet was recorded right after the murder.
I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a joke.
I'm shaking.
I stabbed her in the throat, and I saw her lifeless body just disappear. Dude, I just killed Cassie. That felt like nothing real. I mean, it went by so fast.
We gotta get our act straight.
Okay.
Torey was whisked in for interrogation. Realizing the police knew the cinema story was a lie, Torey switches to the car burglary one, something he and Brian rehearsed beforehand. The interrogators made efforts for Torey to confess on his own, but it wasn't working. It was time to lay it all on the table.
You know, it's kind of stories are falling apart and stuff like that.
Because Torey, you know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
You know what we have.
The game was up. What's peculiar is how juvenile Torey's behavior was. At one point he asks,
Everybody at school is gonna know, right?
in another instance, he's seen mindlessly picking his nose, just like a child would. Later, psychiatrists would discover the reason he acted immature for his age. Torey Adamcik had an underdeveloped frontal lobe. To the very last moment, each teen blamed the gruesome deed on the other, trying to diminish his own role in the crime. The whole act of murder was little more than a joke, a role play for them. It's very obvious from the following exchange.
Okay. What was the purpose of wearing the boots? Camouflage, you know, cooler. Okay.
Indeed, on September 22nd, Brian filmed himself playing drums and watching a horror movie to hype himself up before the murder. The movie was none other than Scream. But why Cassie, and not someone random? A classmate of the two killers revealed that Torey had an unrequited crush on Cassie for 2 years. Brian was actually going to ask Cassie out, but Matt beat him to it. Both got life sentences without the possibility of parole and 30 years to life for the conspiracy to commit murder. Since day one in prison, Torey has been persistently trying to get out. He's been filing numerous appeals, but to no avail. The whole time his parents have been backing him up. Shannon Adamcik, Torey's mother, wrote a book, The Guilty Innocent, where she attacked everybody involved but her son and his attorney. One review described it as a sad attempt by a desperate mother.
I made some mistakes and I learned from them.
But your mistakes weren't anything that you were charged with. They weren't the murder and the conspiracy.
Yeah.
That was Brian. It must be harder because you're innocent to be facing it.
Yeah, I guess.
On the other hand, Brian says he's accepted the burden of the gruesome deed he partook in. After the murder, he claimed he had horrible nightmares about what he did to his classmate. Later, they were substituted with dreams where Cassie was alive, well and smiling.
I always know in the dream that I killed her, and those dreams are even worse. And that's like the only thing I can do is hurt myself. It takes away the pain of just knowing what I did.
But is Brian to be trusted? The whole time prior to his conviction, he was lying, trying to play down his role in killing Cassie, just like his friend Torey did. This senseless murder, committed simply for the vengeful thrill by two teenagers, ruined many lives. Frank Contreras turned to alcohol to cope with the trauma, while his daughter Kelsey attempted suicide. Unable to escape the memories associated with it, the family tried selling their house, but years later it was still on the market. It's hard to imagine the feelings of Matt Beckham and his mother, or Cassie's family. I just miss having my sister right there, a grade above me. I felt like I was always a step behind her, looking up to her. She was a role model. She was really smart, doing good, and had a lot going for her.
I owe a tremendous debt to Cassie Jo Stoddart, and the only way that I can even start you paying that is to, first of all, tell exactly what happened to her, and do not dishonor her in anything that you do in your life. And I've tried that. It's very hard. It's very hard. But I think that it's all I can do, and I have an obligation. I have to do that, or I'm a monster, I guess.